It has been a year since the security at Abstergo Entertainment was compromised. Snow has arrived on the streets of Montreal, and tempers in the Abstergo hierarchy have cooled. They have taken stock, plugged the leaks, and have plans in place. Melanie LeMay has proved herself capable of running the division and responding well to critical situations. After the death of Olivier Garneau, she is the new CCO of Abstergo Entertainment. And she and the rest of the division are hard at work building their new offering to the world, a cloud-based software called Helix. Bite-sized experiences of notable assassins and Templars of the past, sculpted for brevity, entertainment, and doctored to stay strictly on brand. Abstergo Entertainment had already teased the project to the world at a recent expo, and are hard at work to polish before release. The good ship Abstergo Entertainment is sailing on fair winds, and it is vital that there be no more security breaches. Not only for the revenue that it produces, but the opportunity for the Templars, the secret society behind Abstergo, to find more ancient powerful artifacts from the ones who came before. The Precursor race, a history kept hidden from the world at large. In order to tighten security, Abstergo's Letitia England has sent two important individuals, Violet DaCosta and Otso Berg.
Like DaCosta, you'll be a consultant from Abstergo Industries, there to help bring them up to speed on some new policies.
To the analysts and workers of the division, they were not specifically identified. Their purpose here was not specifically announced, but each knew that if the time came, they were to be obeyed at all costs. Numbskull knew that, an analyst trained in recording memories in the Animus. Numbskull, a name that was to be given eventually by Violet to us, because we are oblivious of what is to come. Ignorant of the puppet strings that control the world, this building, and our work. And our work currently is a file within the Helix server to experience the life of a complicated man. A man with an unsettled past, given purpose by a complicated order, but ultimately a man that would always be guided by his own compass. He spent his life in search of truth, peace, and understanding of himself and others.
My name is Shay Cormac. This is my story.
I'm ThePatientWolf, and this is the 9th installment in my retelling of the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. And you can watch the preceding 8, linked below in the description. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell for Unity, coming soon. And if you would like to watch that video months in advance and ad-free, become a supporter of the channel, either here on YouTube via the join button or via Patreon. Support this work and be amongst the first to view this ever-evolving series. Those links are down in the description. I'm ThePatientWolf, and this is the story of Assassin's Creed Rogue. Somewhere in the North Atlantic, January 1752. Many miles from the colonial assassin headquarters at the Davenport Homestead, and 17 years before Radunagerdon would meet Achilles. On the cusp of the 7 Years' War, the British and French in conflict, the Redcoats awash with Templars, and the French, in opposition, are supported by the Assassins. These assassins were here for a meeting, and Shay Cormac is in the dark.
I still don't understand why you can't tell me what we're doing here.
Because Chevalier decided not to tell you. But this is business. It doesn't concern you, Shay.
Commanding this excursion is the grandly titled
Louis-Joseph Gauthier, Chevalier de la Vérendrye,
assassin and noble explorer. They are here to meet smugglers to receive a valuable cargo. Shay Cormac suspects that being left in the dark has less to do with the mission and more to do with the opinion Chevalier has of him. Both the Chevalier's ship, the Gerfaut, and the smugglers have been attacked by the Royal Navy. The smugglers have been detained.
Where the hell were you two?
Why, Captain Joseph, couldn't you fight them all off by yourself like you're always saying?
You are dreaming if you think any training could make you into a proper assassin. It means obeying your mentor without question. How else will we ensure freedom for the human race?
Them's pretty words, Chevalier, but I don't feel too free at the moment.
Well then, feel educated!
A fistfight long in the making. Not everyone at the Davenport Bureau appreciated Shay's irreverent attitude, his misplaced humour, or his nonchalant disposition. His only true friend in the Order was Liam O'Brien.
Gentlemen, stop!
Liam was used to intervening on behalf of Shay. They met and became friends as young Irish working immigrants in New York. Liam, the older, kept an eye on the younger troublemaker, and when Liam found the Brotherhood in 1743, he eventually forged a place for Shay a few years later. Achilles firm in reminding Liam that he is responsible for his well-being and deportment. Shay had flaws, but they all saw his promise and moments of brilliance.
Take these. You'll need them.
That brilliance was needed now, to free the smugglers from the grasp of the redcoats.
Tread with care, Shay. The Royal Navy be ready for us.
Where are your mates now, you filthy rat?
Not bad.
Many thanks. I thought I'd be hanged.
Maybe you were not completely useless, Shay.
Speaking of useless, those blockheads won't be needing this vessel anymore.
You want her, Shay. She is yours. Now bring me back to my ship.
For a day going so wrong, it's a shock to Shay for something to go so right. Shay was a competent sailor, knowledge acquired from his time in the merchant navy. He now, out of the blue, had his own ship, and to the other assassins, it made sense.
But next to me, you're the most experienced sailor in the Brotherhood, Shay. Besides, we could use another vessel, even this pitiful one.
The Morrigan was in bad shape, but time and care could fix that.
Some of the men you rescued agreed to join us. They should prove a good crew. Shall we begin, Captain?
Indeed, mate.
Both vessel and crew are up to the task of seeing off the gathering Crown's navy and returning Chevalier to his beloved Gerfaut. Not a fleet, but a beginning for this fledgling colonial assassin order.
Sing hearty, lads. Chevalier's pleased with us. Time to report back to the mentor. Wouldn't you agree?
Wise words, Captain.
What the hell did you do? It's some kind of dormant virus?
We are pulled from the memory. The building evacuated, the servers locked down. So is the security. All access revoked. What is going on?
Your session triggered something bad and it's affecting the whole building.
Melanie won't be pleased. This will surely impact delivery dates.
Your job is to prevent things like this.
We need to contain these genetic memories, then we can destroy them.
No. Isolate them. I want to study these memories.
You heard the man.
Fine.
I need to borrow your numbskull. That okay with you, Ms. LeMay?
The two Abstergo VIPs have taken charge. Violet DaCosta and Otso Berg. All our colleagues have left the building. Looks like we'll be here for a while.
Do whatever they tell you to do, okay? Go team!
Instead of purging the virus-laden memories, we are to collect them and experience them and record them. The Helix server is down, so we must restore access and bring each server back online. This man, Otso Berg, sees value in this chaos.
If Shay Cormac is who I suspect he is, then this temporary setback may provide us with an unexpected reward.
At present, we only have access to the server on our floor.
Once everything is lit up properly, the system will reboot. Got it? Give it a shot. Good job.
As we reboot each server, we gain access to its contents that before were above our pay grade. This file is narrated by Otso Berg on the assassin mentor Al-Mualim that turned on his order.
The assassins would have you believe that Al-Mualim was a great mentor who became corrupted with greed. I see instead a shrewd and cunning leader. For if the so-called wise man of the mountain can see things from our point of view, Surely the same can be said for other assassins.
Our point of view?
Okay, so I'm not sure you're supposed to see that. You should just get back to your animus.
I know you must have questions about your new assignment, or about me. All I will say is that Shay's story contains the answers. Shay will lead you to a greater understanding.
It's lonely here. Back to the Fellowship of the Assassins. It's 2 months later, in 1752. Spring is emerging, and the Davenport Homestead is buzzing with the purpose of this young assassin brotherhood. Achilles launched this colonial branch of the Assassins 6 years prior, and chose this homestead near Rockport, Massachusetts to base them. He lives here with his family, Abigail and Connor. It's secluded, space for his assassins to train and learn and grow, with ocean access to launch every mission. It was via this port that Achilles welcomes Adewale.
Adewale, how go things in the West Indies?
Very poorly, I'm afraid.
Your countenance tells me we should discuss this. Come.
Shay would listen in. It's been 15 years since Adewale set sail from Port-au-Prince with his new ship, the Experto Crader. He came away with renewed vigour to free those enslaved throughout the West Indies and has applied that vigour in those years. When he left Port-au-Prince, he left a box in the safekeeping of Bastien Joseph. He did not know the power of this precursor box, this piece of Eden, but later Francois Macandal, who would become the mentor of the San Domingue Assassin Brotherhood, would do. He knew that it interpreted and translated language and code and was the only possible way to interpret the precursor language in the Voynich manuscript. The box revealed the location of precursor sites, but this knowledge proved disastrous.
It was terrible, Achilles. The ground shook and the ocean waves crashed over Port-au-Prince.
How many were lost?
Thousands.
To most, this was an earthquake, a natural disaster, but instead it was ignorance. Macandal sent his assassin Vendredi into the site to retrieve what could be within, but he did not emerge, and the result was catastrophe.
And the artifacts that showed the way?
Stolen. The Templars broke in during the chaos. They seized the manuscript and precursor box. I gave chase on the sea but lost their trail when they reached New York.
This was colonial assassin territory. They were best placed now to lead the recovery of the box and the manuscript.
But I fear the rest is up to you, my friend.
Farewell, Adewale. Whoever controls the artifacts can access precursor sites of power. We must recover them.
In the coming weeks, it will be the Morrigan that will lead this search under the captaincy of Shay Cormac, but with an ever-watchful eye from Liam O'Brien, charged with keeping Shay in check.
Achilles doesn't really trust me, does he?
Give it time, Shay.
Shay has many mentors within the colonial brotherhood in both name and nature. Liam, Achilles, and Chevalier, of course, but also Hope Jensen, who oversees the crime networks in New York and values subtlety and guile, and the Native American, Kesegawaase, who trains all in the wisdom of the land. They all see the natural gifts he possesses, but are oft infuriated by how he applies those gifts.
The boy has so much potential, but so little discipline.
The Morrigan has one lead, a possible sighting of the manuscript. The assassins set sail from the coast of Massachusetts, around Nova Scotia, 1,000 miles to the island of Anticosti, where they meet an ally, a spy working with the pirates here, Le Chasseur.
Gentlemen, I have news. I spied the manuscript you seek. The man who brought it said a man named Washington sent him.
Lawrence Washington has great ambitions that Templars have helped fulfill.
On reporting back to their mentor, they learn more.
Lawrence Washington.
The older brother of a young George Washington, well before his political legend would commence.
Businessman, Virginian politician, and high-ranking Templar.
Lawrence kept his membership with the Templar Order a secret from his brother.
Ah, yes. I recently heard he was back from the West Indies.
Lawrence Washington was there, in Port-au-Prince during the chaos of the earthquake, to take the box and manuscript.
The Templars desire to understand the nature of these artifacts. Their spies have called upon many doctors and other learned people in New York.
They have also approached many tribes with questions.
Shay, figure out what it is and find Washington. And when you do, learn all you can.
They follow leads and track him down at his plantation at Mount Vernon.
Whatever happens, Lawrence Washington must not survive.
I'll make sure he doesn't.
The plantation is hosting a garden party where Lawrence meets some Templar associates. Samuel Smith, the Templar treasurer, James Wardrop, a merchant and politician, and former slave, now Templar tactician, Jack Weeks. Shay listens in on the ailing Lawrence Washington.
My brother is a bright spot in a troubled land. If I may make one request before I depart this life, please leave him in peace. He should have nothing to do with the troubles of the Templar cause.
We all respect that sentiment, sir.
Smith and Wardrop have major roles with regard to the artifacts.
Master Smith, are you ready to leave on your voyage?
Aye, sir. I shall return with answers.
Master Wardrop, are you likewise engaged with the manuscript?
Yes, sir. We will soon know its meaning.
Then I bid you take your leave.
Washington can barely stand on his own 2 feet. Better be right about him, Liam. Because I'm about to murder a dying man.
Thank you for making my end a quick one.
And thank you for revealing your master plan, you scheming snake.
The plan is that Smith and Wardrop each take an artifact and work with the finest minds to unlock its secrets. Each has gone their separate ways, and now the assassins have 2 targets to take down and relieve of an artifact. Shay is honour bound to despise all Templars, hence the bile of his final words to Lawrence Washington, but he feels no accomplishment in this kill.
You look disappointed.
The sickly way that man looked, he would have been dead in a month anyway.
Cheer up, Shay. It's a rare day we can sow such chaos among the Templars.
But Smith and Wardrop were in the wind. Months would pass.
What?
In another memory, in another time, Rudden and Gerdon first met Achilles at the Davenport Homestead. Achilles was old, he was broken, and he was grieving, not least of all for the loss of his family. His wife Abigail and his young son Connor were taken by typhoid. That loss occurred in these intervening months as the Morrigan searched for the artifacts.
I've seen Achilles crying.
Why shouldn't he?
It's just that he doesn't look sad. He looks furious.
He's struggling with the loss. We all are.
After months of searching, the assassins regroup in St. John's on the tip of Newfoundland. The Chasseur has another lead.
My sources inform me that Samuel Smith has searched far and wide, looking for answers on how to make that strange box work. He just returned from Europe.
Where's he now?
Refitting his schooner. If you hurry, you can catch him there.
Shay would admit that the Morrigan was the best thing to happen to him for a long time. He was filling the boots of this captaincy admirably, and along with the extra responsibility from Achilles, he was sensing a change in tone from his fellow assassins. He felt like they were starting to respect him. Even Chevalier was starting to thaw.
You are in a jovial mood, Shay?
Why shouldn't I be? I have a new weapon, and will soon have a chance to use it.
It's been 2 years since Shay first put his hands on the wheel of the Morrigan. Then it was vastly under-equipped for the work it would hope to do. On their search for the artifacts over those years, they had opportunities to improve it. They would upgrade her with a harbour master, using resources taken from the British, both on land and at sea. Better cannons, better mortars, stronger hull, and newly installed for this trip, a puckle gun. And also for this trip, they have installed a ram to cut through the ice in the frozen north.
She's making her way through!
Terra Nova. The Morrigan has Smith in her sights and maybe the Precursor box.
Smith must not escape!
Think about what you're doing, assassin! Your Brotherhood is using you!
It matters not. Some of the greatest scientific minds of all Europe could not make it work.
Now all I need is the manuscript, and all shall be revealed.
Well done, Shay.
Samuel Smith. He could barely hold his sword straight.
Smith was a dangerous man, a Templar. You should be proud of yourself, Shay. We should head for Albany now. James Wardrop, the fellow Lawrence Washington gave the manuscript to, will be there.
Weeks and 1,500 miles up the Hudson River, they arrive.
There's the city of Albany, the greatest frontier town of them all.
So many soldiers posted. Is all this to protect the politicians?
Indeed.
Albany was the location of a major political congress to unite the 7 East Coast colonies against the rising tide of the French and their support from the native populations. One man was here to advocate for such a union and to further centralise power away from the British Isles. Benjamin Franklin.
The French are an immediate threat. To put it bluntly, the colonies must join or die.
A rousing speech, Master Franklin.
This is William Johnson, Templar, British Army, opposed to any kind of shift of power, but the Templars need Franklin for another purpose.
Let us leave politics for another day. I wanted to thank you for your research.
In the brief time I could examine that box, I could tell it was something unique. Well, as I mentioned in my letter, I am quite ready to electrify it.
Excellent. We will have the box delivered shortly. As for the manuscript...
That is with James Wardrop in the nearby fort. Since the demise of Lawrence Washington, James Wardrop has taken the helm as Grand Master of the Templars.
All the Templar resources are at his disposal now.
Shay, find Wardrop. Get that manuscript. He's one of the most devious and ruthless men in the colonies. He uses the letter of the law to serve his purposes. And when the law does not bend to him, he gets lawmakers to bend it for him. Mark my word, Shay. James Wardrop's a bureaucrat. He doesn't care how his actions affect others.
I'll take that. You have no idea what you're doing, fool!
Keeping the people free from your control. These colonies would be far better off without the Templars pulling the strings.
We bring order from chaos. If everything is permitted, no one is safe.
Shay is doing the work he is trained for, keeping the Templars from ultimate control, preventing them from possessing artifacts of power, but slaying these weak-bodied men in the process is taking its toll.
Seems to me we should just talk to them like men, instead of skulking around.
They're murdering bastards who want to control the world and everyone in it. Never forget.
And we have nothing in common with that, of course.
The assassins have the box and manuscript.
Hope is waiting for you in Sleepy Hollow.
What's in Sleepy Hollow?
Benjamin Franklin.
They now have the artifacts safe from the Templars. But like the Templars, Achilles and his assassins must know its secrets. The best way for this is to enable Benjamin Franklin to complete his experiment. He has no knowledge of the two opposing brotherhoods, so presenting as British Army associates,
William Johnson told us to give you these.
They assist and complete his work. The storm arrives.
Quick! Help me with the rods!
Assisted by the power of lightning, this electrifies the box, which translates the manuscript. It reveals a location.
It's a map! Where is that?
Portugal! Lisbon, I'd stake my life on it!
The location of a precursor site. From his time as a merchant sailor, Shay frequented this part of the world and knew the convent the map indicated. Shay would have a long trip ahead of him.
Given your present knowledge of the site, this duty falls upon you. You understand what must be done?
Find the Precursor Temple and retrieve the Piece of Eden. Liam and I will leave straight away.
Liam is unavailable at present. Your crew and ship await. Be careful, Shay. Pieces of Eden are powerful relics.
Alone from his friend and first mate, and after weeks at sea, he reaches the convent in Lisbon. Shay discerns its secrets and enters the temple sealed for thousands of years.
The artifact.
It cannot be retrieved. It is part of this temple, vital in its function, catastrophic in its absence. Like Port-au-Prince, Lisbon falls. Like Macandal bid his assassin, Achilles sent Shay here alone, to retrieve a relic he had no understanding of. Despite the knowledge of his counterpart in Haiti, Shay has triggered devastation, homes, infrastructure, lives annihilated. The assassin's responsible for more lost lives in a moment than any other faction has in years, with nothing to show for it.
How could God do this to them?
God had nothing to do with this.
Shay only saw men playing God, and Shay has miles to gather his rage toward the man who sent him.
So what's the next city you want me to smite? Thousands dead thanks to your damned manuscript!
This cannot be.
You made me slaughter innocents!
How dare you!
Stop this!
The operation was delicate.
Who are you to decide what city falls next?
Get him out of here.
It's unclear if Achilles knew for sure these dangers, if he was willing to sacrifice Shay to find out, but his obsession with these artifacts was palpable, and only peaked when his grief from the loss of his family would have him deflect that pain and direct it toward finding, keeping, and knowing these artifacts. Artifacts containing power beyond the ken of man.
Achilles cannot be trusted. He must never find another Precursor Temple. There's no excuse for this level of madness. Only one thing to do.
Remove this danger by taking this knowledge from the assassins.
There's no turning back now.
This would be Shay's last moment as an assassin.
I had such hopes for you, Shay. The future of the whole continent, maybe the whole world, is tied up in that manuscript.
But we don't have the right to decide that future. We are responsible for killing innocents and destroying cities. This mad grab for power. It ends now.
I will not let you destroy everything we have built! Assassin, stop him! Stop Shay!
Shay has long grown tired of the black and the white, the pendulum of power, this struggle between the assassin and the Templars. Ignoring the grey in between has led to countless deaths on each side, and at this moment, the assassin's fight for freedom has left a body count far greater than the Templars. Shay has the manuscript, has extricated it and himself from his former Brotherhood, and now he has a choice. Not even a choice. No more deaths, except perhaps one.
All those souls lost. One more hardly matters. Shay!
What is this?
A glitch in the memories. There seems to be more data.
The virus that fragmented the servers are offering disparate moments in the continuing life of Shay Cormac. Shay, decades later, in Paris.
These memories seem to take place some 20 years after the one we just saw. Shay must have survived that fall.
If he is the man I believe him to be, then he has. I want to know the reason Shay came to this place.
You heard the man. Let's move.
The memory only offers glimpses, suggestions, and cries of familiar acquaintances.
Help! Somebody help!
This is all they have for now. The Abstergo contractors and their captive operative must bring the servers back online to learn more. Despite the destruction in Discord, We feel safer in the Animus than locked on this floor, relieved that the lobby is now open to us. Another server, and more of Shay's memories to bring back online.
I have granted you level 1 security clearance. I trust there will be no further delays.
Along with its activation, the server burdens us with more on the true nature of this organisation, and these people here connected with it. This server and the other workstations of our colleagues would reveal more about Abstergo, the Templars and assassins past and present, and revealed more about this mysterious Otso Berg. Otso Berg was recruited by Warren Vidic to Abstergo, the Templars, persuaded by offering a lifeline.
What is that?
This little pill? It's actually for her. Go on, little one. Have some medicine.
Stop!
Abstergo, the only source of a cure to cure his daughter's cystic fibrosis. But it would prove that Otso Berg, the former mercenary, would find his life's work here amongst the Templars.
I was trained to hunt and kill assassins.
He would align with their view of the world and push the sentiment of hate of the assassins and their quest to disrupt the order that his order put in place. Letitia England would later put him in charge of Team Sigma, an elite force of soldiers tasked with eradicating the assassins. His team caught William Miles, only to lose him again. One of his team was Violet DaCosta, but Letitia England saw the value in Violet for her own ends. Letitia's focus were pieces of Eden, the best way to control the populace and the power to crush the assassins. To her, this is the domino in which all others will fall. Abstergo Entertainment is the biggest resource in finding these pieces of Eden, and these recent security breaches are scuppering that. The assassins, the instruments of the First Will, Juno, this virus, whoever planted it. Letitia needs soldiers to shore it up. Otso needs his soldier back at Sigma Team.
I need DaCosta back.
Impossible.
Send me there.
Oh? I thought you were too good to be wasted on such trivial matters.
I wanted DaCosta back on my team, and if that building is a target, I need to make sure she's looked after. I will also improve their security in my own way.
The sooner Abstergo Entertainment is secure, the sooner he and his team and his shining star, Violet, can get back to hunting assassins. But this assignment is far from a fool's errand for Otso. He's found an expected value within it. Within the lives of the people this division records, Otso notes some of the assassins of the past, and he delights in finding a pattern that strengthens his love of the Order and furthers his disdain of the assassins.
Al-Mualim, Baptiste, Duncan Walpole, Hatham Kenway, Lucy Stillman, Daniel Cross. There will always be assassins who are willing to abandon their cause to serve ours. Yet there is no one who embodies this idea better than Shay Cormac.
This is intense. These are serious people, but their focus and devotion to their work, their order is unparalleled, and we're compelled to help them. We're not sure if it's fear or curiosity, or we're just honoured to be part of it. But we want to know more about Shay and what happened to him after that fall.
I believe Shay may be the most important assassin who ever lived. Your research will help me achieve something I have wanted for a very long time. Shay's story may have something to offer you as well.
Right now, we just settle for answers. June 1756, New York. Shay has been unconscious for a while. Recently became conscious and convalescing under the care of Barry and Cassidy Finnegan.
Good to see you're feeling better.
Thank you.
These were good people. So were the people that rescued him from the rocks all those weeks ago. There are many more to thank that rallied to bring him here and pull him from the brink of death that a fall like that almost guarantees. He is lucky and grateful, and when criminals break and enter and terrorise the Finnegans, he's there to help, weakened though he is.
And don't come back! Mark me words, those gangs are going to be the downfall of this city.
The Finnegans are bereaved. Their son was a member of a secret order, and he died serving it with honours. To prepare Shay for venturing outside, he is given an outfit kept from that time. He doesn't not see the cross he has been taught to hate for so many years. He just sees more, the clothes and tools to help these kind people.
Did I have a book with me?
Just those peculiar weapons.
Thank you both. If you'll excuse me. The manuscript is at the bottom of the Atlantic.
Shay tracks down the fleeing gang members, extracts the location of the gang hideout, slays its leader, and destroys that flag, that symbol. The smoke signalling to this neighbourhood they need not answer to them now. The district is open for business once more. It feels good to truly help people.
Be at ease, Master Cormac. I am Colonel George Monro. Thank you for dealing with these foul criminals. They were a blight on New York.
What do you care? You redcoats are nothing but landlords. The townsfolk here are grinding away, trying to make a living.
I cannot blame you for having that impression, but I take a different approach.
And what is that?
I care.
Noble words.
Perhaps actions will convince you otherwise, Master Cormac.
Colonel Monro is a friend of the Finnegans. Their boy served under him for the crown and the secret order for which he served. George Monro compounds Shay's warm feeling that you get from service to others.
Now let us use some of that money for the good of the city.
Since the gangs have been stemmed in this district, they can use the money in the hideout to renovate public services, to rejuvenate it further, improve the quality of life.
Freedom from want is the greatest freedom of all. I suspect New York will prosper under your watch, Master Cormac.
And like that, in the blink of an afternoon, this man, George Monro, has guided Shay to a purpose he felt often missing in his life, even as an assassin, to truly help people and grow lives.
A man needs purpose. You can do great things for this city and its citizens.
And to repay this unexpected mentorship, Shay is compelled to help Colonel Monro.
Perhaps you could get a friend of mine out of trouble.
The Colonel's friend is Christopher Gist. He was caught investigating the criminals. Gist was there to confirm a rumour that the New York underbelly were developing weapons to strengthen their hand. He had uncovered bullets used for diversionary tactics, but was sure there were more.
I fear these brutes will hang him like a dog.
I will not let those outlaws have another victim.
Ran them right out of their own den. There may be a few men left on their ship. Look.
The Morrigan. What is Shay doing there?
As Shay convalesced in the home of the Finnegans, he had time to take stock of his time and termination of time with the assassins. He did not regret betraying them, as Achilles would describe it. Despite having to leave his friend Liam and the others he was close with, he had to strip them of the artifacts, of hurting more people with Achilles' obsession, but he did regret leaving this. There was no finer feeling than captaining your own vessel, and Shay and the Morrigan had history. They had hurt together and healed. The Morrigan was far stronger now than when he took her, and before and since Shay departed, she was an important ship to the assassin cause. The assassins had her moored in New York. Shay now had her back. Christopher Gist has the contacts to muster up a crew and covets a spot for himself.
Tell me, Shay, do you have a first mate?
He's long gone.
Then I apply for the post, Captain.
Welcome aboard.
He has back what he loved most before that fall, without the intensity of his former brothers, without the hate and disdain for a group opposed to them, with a care to help the people at large instead of endangering them. Shay does not have a plan after this moment. Until he does, he will go where the wind takes him.
As your first mate, may I suggest our next destination? The Colonel will be expecting me to report back.
The Colonel is in Albany. They head there.
I wonder what he has in mind for us to do next.
Us? I thought you just wanted to check in with Monro, not sign me up for the army.
Not at all, Shay, but I admire the Colonel's ideas and want to make them happen.
Colonel Monro is an intriguing man, and he certainly seems honorable. We'll head for Albany. After that, I'll see.
Tis a fine vessel, Captain Cormac.
Thank you, Colonel Monro.
Master Guest, did you learn more about our conspirators and their new weapons?
Well, only that their base of operations is a French fort further downriver.
If the French have installed a fort in our territory, they are likely preparing an assault. New York could burn. Will you join us, Master Cormac?
Aye. Enough innocents have died already.
Ever since he met Monro, they have danced around the facts so clear to them both. Shay knew instantly who he was, the order he belonged to, and Monro the same. Yet, they both instinctively knew that the names of Assassin and Templar are far too loaded with centuries of weight to be useful to them, and to the slowly unfolding future that Shay was content to let happen. Besides, Shay was sick of the polarised world he came from, hating for hating's sake. His instinct was to preserve life, and keep people from pain and suffering, and offer them hope and care. At this moment, he saw his counterpart in Monro.
Now find the fort commander!
In knowing all this, he knew full well who he was now fighting against. The French here on the east coast were supported by the Assassins, and are here to do what they can to undermine British control of the area. And the commander of this fort is the Assassin ally,
Le Chasseur.
Shay. It has been so long.
Don't make me do this, Le Chasseur. We could both just leave.
But then I would tell your brothers that you are alive. You have to kill me, Shay.
Tell me, what are you doing inland?
Special weapons, poisonous gases to use against colonial authorities. I am merely a delivery man.
Then may your final delivery be swift.
The fort cleared. The British take control. Shay returns to New York. Monro has further intel on poison production.
What you have learned from Le Chasseur was confirmed. Their boss has hired Benjamin Franklin to produce new weapons for them.
The scientist?
You have heard of him. He is making equipment to spread gases among the populace. The ruffians we have arrested refer to an intimidating woman. I believe she is behind these nefarious plans.
I look into this.
As is their way, he uses any name but the one most obvious. He calls them outlaws, brigands, miscreants, ruffians, anything but assassins. And Shay knows who runs the crime element in New York, but Shay can't believe she would put innocent lives at risk to harm the Templars.
Hope, I pray it's not you.
Meeting the oblivious Benjamin Franklin, he confirms it is.
Shay! It is good to see you again. Your friend Hope said you were away.
Hope still maintaining the cover that she works for the British.
Sir, I've come to collect the results of your experiments.
I just finished fixing the prototype. Here you go.
Shay has the delivery device for the poison Hope is producing.
God, Hope, what are you doing with these felons? Turning the city against itself.
The tool they hope to do that with is now his, and Shay will turn it against those plans. Shay's weapons at his disposal have gradually increased over the years. Along with it, his skills to use them. He still has his hidden blade, a tool the assassins almost always keep for themselves. He has his sword, pistols, a rifle he picked up from the Templars more recently. This can distract, sedate, and confuse, but in a singular manner. This new weapon, worryingly, expands on that. It fires projectiles and can affect groups, with explosives, sedative gas, or a gas that enrages to turn on anyone indiscriminately. This is the version that George Monro fears the most.
But I fear those outlaws are distilling it. A more powerful formula could sicken or perhaps even kill most of New York.
With this new tool, Shay looks to eradicate this assassin endeavour, to limit the threat.
That should discourage those miscreants. New York is safe for now.
It's going to take more than a few explosions to get rid of this kind of trouble.
The boy is right, Colonel Monro.
Shay, was it?
Shay was in no doubt who these men were. He was there at both of their Grand Masters' deaths before he himself killed them. He eavesdropped on Jack Weeks at Mount Vernon before he killed Lawrence Washington, and did the same months later on William Johnson before seeing off James Wardrop. Before now meeting these men, Shay could rub along and ignore the semantics of the order they belonged to, who he was helping, who his ideals at this moment are more closely aligned. He knew these Templars as enemies. He is now invited to know them as friends.
I'm sure Shay can recount his adventures to us over a pint. Hey, the first round's on the Colonel, huh?
Is something the matter, Master Cormac?
Just a little confused. I must have breathed some of that gas.
Some ale will do you good. Come, we are all friends here. You will be taken care of.
George Monro has taken care of Shay from the very start. Almost the moment he started his new life away from the assassins. George was there as his body washed up on the rocks.
Men from my regiment found you delirious and half-drowned. I did not know who you were, but what you were was obvious. I brought you to the Finnegans for care.
He also found a book important to the Templars. But after a spell and an inability to decipher its meaning, George returned the Voynich manuscript to Shay.
Why return it to me?
Because, Master Cormac, you earned my trust. It could not be in better hands.
They have both realised the need to transition to this partnership as delicately as possible. But there has always been an unspoken transparency. Each intuited how far to push both in conversation and the actions they undertook. The transparency was that the Templars could use a man of Shay's skills and insight, and Shay could use a direction that helped more people than it hindered. Because of all this, a companionship blossomed that spanned from mentor to friend. His other new friend, Christopher Gist, knew of the delicacy in which Monro looked to entice Shay to their cause.
Colonel wanted us to avoid the subject so it wouldn't, influence your decision-making. You saved my life out of pure selfless instinct, and helped countless others besides. If it were up to me, I would have made you an official Templar months ago.
Title for Shay is far less important than serving those that aim to live in peace. Over a year after his first meeting with Monro, he looks to repay the man that saved his life, as his British army is surrounded and captured by French forces.
We have requested reinforcements, but I doubt they will be forthcoming.
The French are supported by indigenous Americans led by the assassin, Kesegawaase. Monro and his men are at their mercy, and Shay must save his friend.
I commit my life to the British Army and my soul to the Father of Understanding.
Maybe I can finally repay my debt to him.
Kesegawaase.
Live! Attack!
Shay and the British fight off Kesegawaase and make for the Morrigan.
Loose the sails! You heard the captain, men! Let's get out of here! Move!
Kesegawaase is forever scarred, but Shay is now also a marked man. Where once they thought him dead, and now know he lives, and now fights with the Templars. To them, a traitor through and through. He gives back the manuscript.
Respectfully, sir, I'm more of a target than you now.
Amongst all this individual conflict, a global conflict was reaching its zenith. The French, with the help of the assassins, are mounting attacks on troops, native settlements, and British-occupied towns. Shay assists the British in countering this threat, liberating the natives, warding off the French, securing ground, then arriving at a besieged Albany.
Damn the devil! What happened here?
Kesegawaase.
The town under attack, the British penned in at the fort. Shay does all he can to mow down the threat and take his former ally, his former brother.
Templar dog! You are an enemy. Achilles will see you dead.
What he's doing is wrong.
Monro is already dead. Liam.
As Shay was occupied with the French assault, the assassins would track George Monro, surround him,
The Colonel! He's trapped inside!
and set his haven alight. Shay collects Monro from the fire, but not in time.
The manuscript. An assassin took it.
Liam, I'll get it back. I swear it.
But that is not George's final wish. As he gives Shay his ring, he hopes he will commit to what he has always wanted for him. For Shay to give his skills and his compass to the Templar cause. In a ceremony with the disparate members of the colonial rite, Shay honours his friend's dying wish. Presided over by the Grand Master, Haytham Kenway.
You are now a Templar, harbinger of a new world. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.
The memory we're experiencing comes to an end.
Shay has seen the true face of the world, and he has chosen his path accordingly. A similar choice will soon present itself to you.
With none of the tenderness and care that George Monro showed Shay, Otso Berg seems to have this same goal for us.
I did not think you'd get this far, but you seem to be on the right track.
We are in this now, but what is this exactly? It is Berg's obsession for sure. The reinstatement of systems is an afterthought in comparison to his desire to see the conclusion of Shay's story. To do that, we need bring online the next server.
I've got your animus ready and waiting.
Back to Shay then. But when? Paris, again, 1776. The man screaming for his life in the last memory fragment was Benjamin Franklin. In 1776, he had recently been appointed as America's ambassador to France, and here was being chased by criminals. Shay, decades older and just as deadly, protects him from harm.
Is there anything I can do for you to repay you for this kindness?
Actually, there is. I need to meet a business acquaintance. I heard he would be at the Chateau de Versailles 2 days from now.
And they don't just let anyone inside the royal palace. Very well. I'll see what can be arranged.
Again, just a fragment. What is Shay's purpose?
If we progress further with Shay's life in the colonies, I'm confident we can get better results from these Paris memories. Uploading the next memory sequence now.
Louisberg, 1758. The war between the French and the British still rages, as does Shay's intent to keep the assassins from causing more pain. The Templars are here to support the Royal Navy, rumoured to be the target of an ambush by the French.
The Battle of Louisberg could very well be the turning point which will finally bring this war to a close.
I don't know about you, but I've had enough of war.
Since the demise of George Monro and Shay's induction to the Templars, Haytham Kenway has seen to take Shay under his wing, to guide him, to instruct him. He sees the talent he has on water, with weapons, and wants to direct his energy and knowledge where it can work best. Here, that is directed at the French naval attack, and the French, oft supported by the assassins. The Experto Crater, thousands of nautical miles from its usual domain in the West Indies. Adewale's considerable experience, skill and tactics may tip the balance here. Fire ships. The ambush is immobilized for now.
The tide of war is turning!
It is too soon for celebrations. Adewale is still out there.
And after extensive searching, they tracked him down at a fort in the river valley. Shay remembers how Liam described him back when he first met him at the Davenport Homestead.
That man's a living incarnation of the Creed.
The Creed must be stopped. With the fort too well protected to attack from the water, Shay sneaks ashore, flushes Adewale out, runs his ship aground.
He's making a last stand.
Let's not disappoint him.
With his Grand Master by his side, they close in on this living legend of the assassins. The man who broke free of the chains of oppression and of greed on the jackdaw, and freed countless others enslaved in the name of the assassins and himself. This living incarnation of the creed will now only live on in legend. This loss is not lost on Shay.
Forgive me, Adewale.
You have become a monster, Shay.
Perhaps I have.
As he slays Adewale, he does not do so with rage for his enemy. He does so out of necessity of what he must prevent. The assassins already had the box. They took the manuscript from Monro.
Achilles already has what he needs.
I will kill every last man who defends him if I must.
He must find Achilles. He must take these artifacts. There cannot be another fallen temple.
Come.
You can experience the life of Adewale right after this. Link down in the description. Haytham has been tasked with hunting down artifacts of his own for a while now, but these artifacts and temples are different.
Tell me what you've seen.
We haven't found an apple, but a tree. These temples hold the earth together like roots. Disturb them and Haiti falls, or Lisbon, or any other place the manuscript shows.
And the assassins are blindly interfering with these structures?
Aye. And if we don't stop them, they'll continue destroying cities.
The war has reduced to a simmer. Shay and the Templars can focus on hunting Achilles and all those that will lead them to him. Months of following leads reveals the assassins still have not sourced the next precursor site, but Chevalier is prepped for the voyage, and Hope is close to animating the box. It's only a matter of time.
We must stop them.
The Templars are in New York. Their best hope is to find Hope and take the artifacts. She tops the pile of the criminal underworld here, and the underworld has the city in their control.
The authorities are doing sod all.
Shay and Jack flesh them out by posing as criminals,
You raise the flag, and I'll raise hell.
attacking a crown prison and causing carnage in their name. The Redcoats are forced to take action. Haytham extracts her location.
She's in that big mansion.
The net tightens around the hideaway of Hope Jensen.
Now let us cut off the snake's head.
Shay infiltrates, but it's too late. They have the location.
We have everything we need. Chevalier will be expecting me.
Bon voyage. About time you showed up.
Hope releases the fatal poisons Monro feared the assassins were working on. Shay escapes from this, but Hope is waiting with a more direct delivery. Hope has the antidote for the fever that engulfs Shay and maybe the location of their voyage. The next Precursor Temple. He must keep moving.
Hope, I didn't want to do this.
I trained you to do this. Soon Chevalier will be on his way to the Precursor site.
I will stop him.
He will see you coming.
But the Templars have to find him first. His last known location was Anticosti, where Shay first met the Chasseur and where Chevalier refueled for their voyage.
The assassins won't stop their mad quest. They're desperate to find a piece of Eden, especially now that half of their Brotherhood is dead.
Shay sneaks into the pirate-controlled fort, steals the plans and charts left there by the Chevalier de la Vérendrye, deciphers its code and finds out the location of the Precursor site. But the way is blocked by the Guerre foe.
Prepare for boarding!
Is that all a Templar can do?
It gave Shay no pleasure to take the life of Adewale, or Hope, but there is no love lost between these two. They never did see eye to eye.
So, cabbage farmer, are you still convinced the Templars are right?
Convinced to the end.
Ah!
The Gerfaut and Chevalier were here to slow the Morrigan down. The last of the assassins are heading north to claim their last opportunity to save their Brotherhood, to possess an ancient tool of power to turn the tide for them. The Morrigan pursues.
The world is still standing. If they uncovered it, they have not yet set the earth in motion. I shall accompany Shay. As Grand Master, I must investigate this Precursor matter to the end, and witness the death of Achilles' Brotherhood.
They traverse the conditions, through the assassin crew, guided onward by the ancient symbols, through the Precursor failsafes to the artifact at the centre of the temple. The same design as Shay witnessed in Lisbon, likely the same as in Haiti. Achilles finally sees it for himself.
No, don't touch anything. Shay was right.
What would he know?
More than me, apparently.
Finally you understand, Achilles. This is a structure to hold the world together, not a weapon to control it. This whole calamity could have been avoided if you'd only listened to me.
Right or wrong, Shay? You betrayed the Brotherhood, Achilles and me.
Says the man who shot me in the back.
That was Chevalier. I don't miss!
Him don't!
Dodging the ancient fabric of the temple as he did in Lisbon. This time, Shay's mind is not on escape. It is on Liam, carrying the manuscript. But what of the box?
The Precursor box is safe, Shay! Chevalier took care of that! You'll never find it!
If Shay can get the manuscript, the assassins will have nothing. No secrets to translate. Disasters like this will be calmed. The world will be safer.
You broke the assassins. Betrayed everyone you knew. You sided with our worst enemies. And for what?
To save the world.
I hope that world is a good one.
The book is saved. His oldest friend is dead. The assassins are all but. Haytham has Achilles.
No!
Why not?
Achilles is harmless now. A mentor with no followers. He understands what these Precursor sites are now. Without him, the assassins may continue their search.
Valid points. Never forget what has happened here.
I won't.
The outcome that Shay describes here is true, and stays true for a decade. But Haytham would come to regret the mercy he showed Achilles this day. Watch that story in the description below after this. In the following years, after the Templars left the site of the temple, they would spend further eradicating the remaining assassins from the colonies. All except Shay. He's given another task.
Although our search for Precursor sites is at an end, I want that box. You will find it for the Templar Order, and for me.
Could be anywhere in the world by now. It may take years to find it.
It may take your lifetime. Are you up for the challenge? Good.
Shay transitioned to the Templars because he saw a way to help people. Maybe to make up for all the people he killed doing the bidding of Achilles. A man intent on finding artifacts to gain power for his order. Shay is bid here by another master, Haytham, to do the same. Shay Cormac is a Templar now, and 16 years later in Paris, as he passes through the gates of Versailles, he still is, here to complete his task. He takes his leave from Benjamin Franklin, his key to entry, across the red carpets of the home of Louis XVI and Mary Antoinette. until he sees his target.
That's him. Charles Dorian.
Here with his son, Arno.
Gentlemen, I'll protect this artifact with my very life.
Shay stalks his man.
Arno? Where are you?
And as Charles Dorian looks to leave, Shay finally secures the Precursor box, as his Grand Master instructed.
I'm just finishing old business.
Connor and his assassins. The American Revolution undid your Templar business.
Then perhaps we shall start a revolution of our own.
That revolution coming soon to The Patient Wolf. Shay Cormac started life as a troublesome child, then became a troublesome assassin. But something about the Templar Order has drawn Shay to it, and held him tight for many years. It's unclear if his compass is still the same as when he first met George Monro, set towards the peace and the well-being of society. But what is clear is that Shay's loyalty to this order is now unwavering.
I am Shay Patrick Cormac, Templar of the American Right. May the Father of Understanding guide us all.
It is this outcome that Otso Berg was so intent on capturing. We wake from the Animus.
I have everything I need to complete our assignment here.
What he has is a record, evidence, proof, and he wants that proof to be seen. We are to upload it to the servers.
But not to Helix. I want some very specific people to see what we have found here.
Otso Berg has no interest in searching for pieces of Eden and discovering knowledge of the ones that came before. Something the higher-ups are so intent for him to do. He came to Abstergo Entertainment to expedite getting his Sigma team back together, to get Violet back, to do the thing that brings him most joy: hunting and killing assassins.
I am a Templar Knight. I protect the world from the assassins.
He thought this placement, shoring up security at Abstergo Entertainment, would be a waste of time. But he's leaving with a valuable tool.
Use that terminal to upload Shay's story to the Assassin Network.
Berg sees these memories as the nail in the coffin of the assassins.
The modern-day assassins are weak. It is only a matter of time before I catch the last of them and kill them. But it is not enough for them to die.
Each memory showing Shay rejecting the assassins for their cruelty and accepting the Templars for their hope. And after this, he helped bring the assassins to their knees.
I want them to know how weak they truly are. So on the day they finally meet me, they will welcome the death I offer them.
It was not enough to destroy the assassins. Berg needed to break them first. The message woven into the trajectory of Shay's life will aid in doing that. Our work is complete. Security has been brought back online. Work can recommence as normal. These Abstergo contractors are pleased with us, but of course we know who they really are. To do this work, we've been given the highest access to secrets and revelations that we can never give back. What happens now? We're called to a meeting on the top floor.
It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you up here today.
Shay's story is a message, one that says that when threatened, what an assassin truly wants isn't freedom, but order.
And we represent the highest order there is.
You have crossed the threshold, and your eyes have been opened. The test of your true worth begins now, and it begins with a choice.
To put it bluntly, we must join or die. May the Father of Understanding guide us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, remember to press like. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are, and if you would like to support this series and watch the next instalment, Unity, months in advance, become a supporter of the channel, either via YouTube memberships using the join button right here, or via Patreon. Both give you access to my videos months in advance and ad-free, amongst a host of other perks. See those links down in the description. Watch this next, and check the links in the description for more videos in this series and other stories from other great gaming worlds. I'm the Patient Wolf, and this has been the story of Assassin's Creed Rogue.